Hello and welcome to Social Media and Me, the documentary where we're exploring social media, but more importantly, our relationships with these things. My generation have grown up with mobile phones, computers, and most importantly, online communication, which we've come to know as social media. Okay, so the timeline of social media looks something like this. The earliest recorded uses were the carrier pigeon, printing press, telegraph, telephone, radio, television, community memory, CompuServe, Prodigy, AOL, the first blogs, GeoCities, Classmates, 6 Degrees, Open Diary, Friends Reunited, Wikipedia, StumbleUpon, Friendster, Technori, LinkedIn, Couchsurfing, Last.fm, MySpace, Facebook, Care2, Dig, Gmail, Flickr, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, WikiLeaks, Spotify, iPhone 1, SoundCloud, Instagram, Pinterest, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Google+, WeChat, Tinder, Periscope, and probably hundreds more that I've missed or are yet to come. Social media has been around for hundreds of years, going from pen and paper, to prints, to online communication such as emails, and now everything you can imagine is in the palm of your hand in a smartphone. But, as social media has brought us close together, has it also driven us further apart? Psychology lesson with Simon Sinek.
We know that engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when you get a text, it feels good. Right? So, we've all had it where you're feeling a little bit down or feeling a bit lonely, and so you send out 10 texts to 10 friends, hi, 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 because it feels good when you get a response, right? Right? It's why we count the likes, it's why we go back 10 times to see if my Instagram is growing slower, did I do something wrong? Do they not like me anymore, right? The trauma for young kids to be unfriended, right? Because we know when you get a hit of dopamine, which feels good. It's why we like it, it's why we keep going back to it. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive.
So if social media is so addictive, what happens if it's taken away from us suddenly? I can't believe I'm doing this, but there's only one way to find out. So, for the next week, I'm going to be turning off my phone and going off all social media just to find out what exactly is gonna happen. Will I be like a drug addict who's suddenly taken off heroin? What will happen? Will I get withdrawal symptoms? I don't know. I'm scared. Goodbye the modern era, hello the dark ages. So in actual fact, this isn't day one of me not having a phone. This is really day 3. Now the reason I've not done days 1 and 2 is because nothing has really happened. On the whole subject of psychological changes, I'm not having a breakdown, I'm not having a meltdown. I've not had a phone for 3 days. Now I've been out a couple of times in this time, and I actually feel so much less stressed. And I know that sounds really, really weird, but it's almost like having people around you and then kind of reaching for your phone and then being able to look at it. It's like a safety blanket, and it's like when people are around you, you suddenly start getting this weird form of anxiety which doesn't make any sense, and the only way for you to make that feel better is to grab your phone. Now I felt this way for half an hour when I didn't have my phone, when I was walking around in Stratford-upon-Avon, and then it just disappeared. And what's really weird as well, I've not been listening to music on headphones. I've just been listening to it on the radio. I've actually had to buy a radio alarm clock. Hang on. This isn't product placement, I just had to buy a radio alarm clock because otherwise I can't get up in the morning, as in I just can't. But actually I've felt a lot happier in of myself not having my phone, which and not being on social media at all. As in, like, seriously, I've not looked at Facebook once, so I've not seen anyone who's kind of put like having the best day ever, hashtag got this meal, or booked this ticket to go see something else.
We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and we have no age restrictions on social media and cell phones, which is the equivalent of opening up the liquor cabinet and saying to our teenagers, hey, by the way, this adolescence thing, if it gets you down.
It's all finally got to me. I don't know where I am. I need a phone. I need to use social media. Okay. Maybe not then. So I'm actually fine. So day 5 of the video diary. I'm getting really bored of nothing really happening to me. It's quite extraordinary. I will say one thing I noticed today when I was out and having lunch. The time where I would normally be sat on my phone and just scrolling through stuff while eating and being antisocial, I suddenly became aware of everyone else doing it and not me doing it. It's very weird, this concept of addiction, and what is mentioned in many of the interviews and little bits of work that I've found of social media being really addictive and there being really horrible side effects if you overuse it. They're not ringing true yet. Now I think I'm going to get to day 7 of not using my phone very easily. I do wonder if I'd done a complete technology cutback and I wasn't allowed to use any technology, so I wasn't allowed to use my laptop, the PlayStation, the television. I wonder if I wasn't allowed to use that or the internet of any kind. I do wonder then if I would have found something that was a little bit different to what I was expecting.
There are 7 billion people in the world. 3.4 billion use the internet. Just under 2 billion use smartphones. The numbers are rising higher and higher and showing little sign of stopping anytime soon. But what happens if using these devices to excess has serious consequences?
Basically, it's becoming hardwired, and what we're seeing is as they grow older, too many kids don't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships. Their words, not mine. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial. They will admit that their friends, that they don't count on their friends, they don't rely on their friends, they have fun with their friends, but they also know that their friends will cancel on them if something better comes along. Deep, meaningful relationships are not there because they never practice the skill set, and worse, they don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to a device, they're turning to social media, they're turning to these things which offer temporary relief.
We've done it, we've reached day 7. Well, we would have reached day 7, we actually reached it 4 days ago. I just didn't do a video diary. And after not having my phone for a week, I think I've really come to understand what addiction actually is, especially when it comes to smartphones, but also in general, because dopamine is the most addictive thing, clearly, that our bodies can take. I think because of when we use social media, it can give us such large amounts of dopamine that when we then use social media and it's not churning out the same levels that we're used to expecting of dopamine, it really does affect us. And I can really see how people can get horribly depressed from using it too much. And I definitely think that before not using it for a week, I think I definitely relied on watching my Facebook feed to keep me entertained. I think I relied on it way too much, which is why I worry about younger generations who have grown up using it, because it has become so hardwired into them that they could be in real serious trouble when they get to their 20s. Because how are they going to communicate with people? Are they going to do it face to face, or is it going to be completely normal that you do it over text and messaging? I mean, it might become a normal state of affairs that people propose to each other using social media. Can you imagine that? People texting someone and going, "Will you marry me?" And the person replying, "Yes, I will." And that becoming normal. But I think, like most things, social media, and especially your phone, is what you make of it. If you choose to use it in a regulated manner, so if you choose to turn it off at night, if you choose to only use it for 3 hours a day, if you choose to only use it when you actually need to call someone, like a phone should be, I think you will be fine. I think it's the balance that everyone really needs to get right. And with everything, it's the imbalance which then becomes an addiction. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you got something out of it. And remember, social media, people are so much better in person.